Hello.
Yay!
Already
Good morning,
there.
Kirtana. Where are you joining us
Morning.
from?
Thank you. All right, so I'll get started, I guess. Good morning, everyone. My name is Kirtana, as Nari had said, and I work as a biosecurity consultant at Boffa Miskell in Auckland. So today I'm going to be talking to you about our Ezylure trial results that we ran at Mount Tiger in the Hanuas, so Mount Tiger in Whangarei. And it's one of the tools that we've developed with Boffa Miskell along with Critical Solutions and Redford Solutions. Yeah, next slide. So a little bit on the Ezylure system. It is pretty much an automatic lure dispensing system. It dispenses egg mayo, the excellent lure, which has been trialled with lots of multi-species and has just been really successful that you get from conservation. And it is pretty much designed as a pre-feeding tool to lure pests into traps, as well as trail cameras and for using it as a monitoring tool. So you can actually set the amount that you want to dispense and also how often you want to dispense. So for the trials, we dispensed about 0.5 mils every 12 hours. This really helps overcome neophobia and pests. I'll talk about that in the next slide shortly. So this unit's supposed to last for around 1 year. That's obviously dependent on how often you're dispensing and how much liquid you're dispensing when you set the unit up. And these can be retrofitted to traps, which is exactly what we did in our large-scale field trials. Yep, next slide. So a little bit about neophobia that I just mentioned. So the definition of that is extreme or irrational fear or dislike of anything new or unfamiliar. So this is displayed in a lot of our pests, especially rats and stoats in particular. They do display a lot of neophobia towards traps, and that does decrease our trap capture success. So Ezylure really helps with overcoming this behavior by repeatedly enticing animals to a trap. So for example, if you were to retrofit the Ezylure, kept it running and let the trap open, leave the trap open, the animal over time builds its confidence and comes into the area, comes into the trap and eats the lure, and then eventually you can set the trap and get the animal a lot easier than you would have if you hadn't done that. So there's a video in the next slide that we can play. Hopefully it works. So this is a video of a rat feeding on the lure, which is actually retrofitted to our AI resettable trap that we're running trials for at the moment. This is not a set trap, it's just an open trap. And as you can see, the rat there is just feeding on the lure. This is day one. Those flashes you see, they're not visible to the rat, so it's not actually going to phase it at all. It's just taking photos because it's the AI trap. Next slide.
Well,
so this is day 9. So still traps open, and you can see there's multiple rats feeding around this the system, and rats leave scent trails behind, leading all the other rats to the food source essentially. So over time, by day 9, you've got lots of rats, and then they appear to be quite comfortable with the unit just running around everywhere. And then the idea is on day 10, you could set the trap, and your trap catcher is probably better off than on day 1. So that's a good example of what I mean by pre-feeding the trap and overcoming neophobia. Yeah, next slide, please. So we ran a large-scale field trial at Mount Tiger in Whangarei. This was around 3 months long. I think it was last year between August and October. We set out a total of 90 traps with help from Sean Willis from Kiwi Coast. And 50 of them were Trapinators, and then we had 40 DOC 250s. So what we did was we split them in half. So we trialed half of the traps with Ezylure systems retrofitted to them, and then the other half was standard lure. The standard lure we used for DOC 250s was just dried rabbit e-raised meat. And then with the Trapinators, we used peanut butter, and we refreshed them as required whenever we needed. There's a mistake down there. I said that we checked twice a week. We actually checked them fortnightly. That's how often we check the traps and kind of refresh the lure for the standard lure. However, the Ezylure was just kept running. The stations are around 200 to 300 meters apart. Yeah, next slide. Here's an example of the Ezylures retrofitted to the Dock 250 on the left and the Trapinator there in the middle, and then the pot-eye trap. So pot-eye traps are kind of a newish trap. It's a rat and mustelid trap. And you can see that there's a little tunnel design there that the animal runs through and it gets caught. And it's pretty much a Dock 250 trap inside that kind of unit. So we wanted to trial pot-eye traps at Mount Tiger. However, Mount Tiger was very steep and there was no road access, and it was really difficult to actually carry even more than one pot-eye trap into Mount Tiger. So we decided we will trial this elsewhere, but I'm just, yeah, introducing that to you now, and we'll talk about that later. Yeah, next slide. So on the left, you see that's the Trapinator. So we just tried to modify that a little bit, the bite bar, so that it would sit perfectly where the lure would drip onto the bite bar. And then some of the lure would also drip out onto the ground or onto the tree, which was really useful in enticing the animal with a little bit of food lure. And then on the right-hand side, we installed a little drip plate in the Dock 250 at the bottom there, that little metal thing. And the lure would drip a little bit out. So we had lots of videos of cats and possums and rats feeding on the lure from the outside, which really made them want to go inside the trap. And I mean, eventually they made their way to the other side and went inside the trap. Yep, next slide. So this is just our layout of the Mount Tiger field trials. We tried to incorporate, rivers, bridges, and bush margins and pasture margins, and just different kind of habitat types, so we could cover a lot of different ground. It was probably around 400 hectares or so, just 4 kilometers squared area size that we used there. Yeah, and that was just our station setup. So each station there actually consisted of either a Trapinator or a Dock 250, and it was either Ezylure or standard lure. Yeah, next. So these are our results that we got at Mount Tiger. I'm not sure what the numbers are doing yet. So the yellow bars are the Ezylure. So on the left, we had a really good rat capture success, a lot more than the standard, which was, again, dried rabbit, raised meat. And then with the possums, we had pretty even. I mean, there was only a difference of 1, but it still showed that the possums were coming into the trap and getting caught. So we caught 41 possums over 3 months. I think we suspect that later on we got less trap captures, so that would have affected getting more data and results late in the last few weeks as we were reducing the possum population. So it would have been interesting to see had there just been more possums, and we could have got more data on that one. Yeah, next slide. There's a couple photos of a possum getting trapped in the Trapinator, and then a rat. Just a couple photos. Yeah, next slide. And then we ran another trial in the Hanuas, just south of Auckland. And this was a little bit smaller. Here we trialed Trapinators to try and get more data, as well as pot-eye traps. The access here was a lot easy because, well, it was not as steep, and we actually had road access, so it was a lot easy to deploy the pot-eye traps. Yeah, next slide. So on the left, we had to install a drip plate with the metal bit there in the photo, and so the lure just kind of dripped into the trap where the bait normally meant to be. So that's our results on the right hand side. Yellow is the Ezylure results. Overall, you can see we didn't get as many pests as we did at Mount Tiger, and they're very close. So not really conclusive in the results as such, as in trying to compare anything, because the difference is 1. However, we did find that the Ezylures just kept functioning really well and still enticing animals into the trap. We would have liked to have run this for longer. However, we didn't really get the time to do that. Yeah, So next slide. We did, however, send them to a Coromandel community group that ran the, they used the DOC 250s in the Ezylure. They hadn't rechanged the battery or reset the lure, and the Ezylure systems worked really well. They just kept going for around 9 months, and we tested them in all kinds of different environmental conditions. So that photo on the right there was taken in Christchurch. It was really cold, and the unit appears to be frosted over. However, the lure kept dripping anyway. And then we also trialed them in really hot temperatures in summer, and they worked really well. And also heavy rain, that worked really well as well. And actually the Coromandel group caught a stoat with the Ezylure, which was really great. Yeah, and they continued to function really well. Another thing we did was we just kept a Ezylure unit running in the lab, and it was running continuously for 9 months. I think it was longer than that. I think it's the data that we had was up until 9 months. So overall, they were really well functioning in the field and extremely robust in all the different environmental conditions that we had trialed them in, and we did get all kinds of different pests in them. And the other thing is we did actually do some small scale field trial results before this with just an Ezylure system and no trap, and we got lots of interactions on mostly possums and rats. They really loved them. The possums kept coming back, lots of repeat interactions, and I think it's really handy having the lure drip out and having some of it come outside of the trap, because it's just that food lure. The animal keeps coming in without having the consequence of being trapped. Yeah, so we got feral cats, rats, possums, hedgehogs. Overall, yeah, it was really good. And it's an extremely cost-effective tool. I mean, you don't have to rebait as well, which is really handy. I mean, of course, this works better with a resettable trap, which we are working to develop, and I'm sure in the future there's going to be more resettable traps. So this tool is perfect to go along with a resettable trap, as well as just using it now to avoid having to rebait, and that constant fresh lure is really handy to have as well. Yep, next slide. Oh, there's no next slide. But I just want to say thank you to Sean and Willis from from Untamed NZ for helping us out. They were really good at helping us out with the trials. They were extremely competent, and they were like mountain goats going up and down the hills. And Nairi from Kiwi Coast, of course, for liaising everything and helping us set this up. And Neville and Dave for providing us the land. We used their land to trial everything. And Kenji is our engineer from Redfern Solutions, who worked really hard to get the tool working really well. And of course, Predator Free for funding us. And then Boffa Miskell, Helen Blackie, this is her project. And Sarah Hawkins helped run the trial. However, she couldn't make it today. She's overseas. And then Conservation for providing the lure. And actually the Ezylure is due to commercialize at the end of this year sometime, and you can get it from Conservation. That will be the supplier. Yeah, and I think towards the end of the year you'll expect to see them from Conservation. Thank you. I think that's it really.
Yay, well done, Kirtana. Thank you very much. It's a great presentation. Guys, since we can't go to breakout rooms because that functionality has not materialized, I think we've got time for a couple of quick questions now.